Yep, all three of those babes are me: 224-pound me, the way too skinny 118-pound me, and the healthy 135-pound me. What a journey. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Zoe. I talk about all things luxury. Today, I have a little bit different of a video for you. This is one of the less glamorous luxuries in life, which has to do with health. So for most of my life, I was overweight. At my heaviest, I was 224 pounds. And at that point, that is when I decided to really try hard at my fitness journey. I had tried to lose weight many times before, and it just never worked out. And I finally got it right. I was able to lose 106 pounds, which brought me all the way down to 118 pounds. That is only because I was actually competing in a bikini competition. I'll tell more on that story as the video goes on, but obviously that was not a maintainable weight. So I gained a little bit of weight back to 135 pounds, and I have been 135 pounds for a few years now. So I was able to successfully lose the weight and keep it off. Now, a quick disclaimer, I am not a doctor. This is just what I did to lose weight that worked for me. Everybody is going to be different, but I think there are definitely some key takeaways that would apply to most people. So for me, I was always kind of overweight. I was an overweight child, nothing too crazy. But as time went on and I got into my teenage years and then into my 20s, and then I had a baby, and then I gained weight from the baby, and then I didn't lose the weight, and then it just kind of snowballed. And then before you knew it, I was 224 pounds, and I didn't understand why, because I was not really an overeater. I never overate. It really came down to what I ate. I grew up on the standard American diet, which in my opinion is one of the worst diets for you. But we grew up in school here in the States learning about the food pyramid and the standard American diet. And, we were taught that Cheerios were a healthy breakfast. This processed carb puff was supposed to be real heart healthy, and all these things that you learn when you're little, and doctors say that's what's supposed to be good for you, and so you take that as truth and then you move on and you don't really think about it. And it wasn't until I started to really do my own research that I started to discover maybe that's not the best way of eating. So I had tried many times to lose weight. I would go and put myself on a diet full of healthy food, things that were just labeled as healthy, but I didn't really understand what health food was. And so I would try and it wouldn't work. I would get discouraged. I'd go back to my normal way of eating, and then it would happen again and again and again. Well, the last time that I decided, okay, I'm going to try this one more time before I just give up and blame genetics, I really took a different approach. I wanted to truly educate myself on food and the body and how things work. And so I did a lot of research. I read medical journals. I watched YouTube videos. I just learned from anywhere that I could where things made sense. And it wasn't like the mainstream stuff we learned in the school system. This was kind of learning more from people who also did their own research and trialed and errored things and found what worked for them. So, long story short, I started realizing that one, real food is where it's at, not this processed stuff that is labeled as healthy, such as all these like cereals that are out there and all these powdered drinks and all this stuff that was made in a lab. Number two, fats are not the enemy. I was raised that fatty foods were really bad for you and to stay away from them. Now, of course, there are foods out there that are super high in fat that aren't the best for you, but things like olive oil and good cuts of steak and avocados, you don't have to shy away from those things. There's nothing bad about those fats. Number three was that actually carbs aren't all that necessary. Now, I have nothing against people who eat carbs, but what I ended up doing with my own research was kind of combining the Mediterranean diet with the keto diet to kind of formulate this really clean, low carb way of eating. And so that's what I started doing, and the weight started falling off so easily. At this point, in the very beginning of my journey, I was not really working out yet or anything like that. I was just changing the way I ate. I cut out the processed foods and I dropped the carbs and stopped being so scared of fats. So within my first 6 months, I lost 60 pounds. I was feeling great. I was loving the way I looked. I loved the results. I loved the food. A lot of people will say that the keto diet is not sustainable. I don't know. Like for me, I disagree. It's very easy for me. There's a lot of variety, especially whenever you are eating kind of more of a Mediterranean style. The food is super, super yummy. Again, like I don't have anything against people who choose to eat carbs. It's just for me personally, when I ate a lower carb diet, I felt better. The weight fell right off. The like cognitive function of my brain was better and it just worked for me. Now, that being said, in the beginning, I really did feel like I needed a diet. The lifestyle came later, but I needed to be put in a box at first. I needed to have to adhere to something in order to kind of get me on track and like catapult my success before I could start venturing off into more of a lifestyle. I heard somebody say once, this was an analogy someone used, and it's a really good one. So they compared diets when you're very, very obese. A diet is kind of like being in the ICU. Like if you were in a car accident and went to the ICU, you don't stay in the ICU forever. You stay there until you're well enough to move on to the next level. Same thing with weight loss. Like you don't have to stay on a diet forever, but sometimes it's the thing that gets you well enough to then move on and branch out into other ways of eating. So 6 months in, I've lost 60 pounds. And all the way up until then, everybody was really supportive. They're like, wow, you said you were going to lose weight and you did it. This is so good. You look so healthy. You look so good. Everything's great. Till I got to around that 60-pound mark. That's when all of a sudden people started being like, well, you better not lose too much weight. I think you look good now. I don't think you should lose any more weight. Definitely don't lose any more. And I'm like, who asked you? I didn't ask you. And people started really pushing their opinion on me. And this is hard because if these are, friends and family, people you care about, people you're around, you tend to really take their opinion to heart. But health is a very, very personal journey. And so I would encourage you along your fitness journey, your health journey, your weight loss journey, check in with yourself and take your own advice more than other people's advice. Like it's one thing if you go and you ask for advice, but it's a whole other thing for people to just spew all this unsolicited advice on you and push their opinions on you and try to like derail you from your goals. So about another 6 months goes by. I slowly lose another additional 20 pounds. I was eating the same way. I was working out more. I started weightlifting. I started implementing some cardio. I started going to yoga and just kind of like experimenting with different forms of exercise that felt good to me, things that I genuinely enjoyed doing. This made it really easy for me to stick to because I didn't feel like it was a chore. I also allowed myself to have cheat meals. I allowed myself to have cheat days, and I would always just get right back on track. And so usually the way I did this, I didn't really schedule them. The cheat days or cheat meals really just kind of happened around social events. So like if I had a friend who had some kind of a party or I was going to a kid's birthday party, I would indulge in a piece of cake, or I would eat, brunch with my friends. Or if I was going out to dinner with someone, I'll eat whatever the restaurant is serving. I try to make the best choices, but I wouldn't be like, no, I can't go there. I can't eat there. I can't eat that stuff. Or I wouldn't be like the weird person who brings their own food to the restaurant. Like I would definitely, partake in social events and enjoy the cheat meals as I felt I wanted to. But I always got back on track. I wasn't like, well, I messed up today, so I might as well take the rest of the week. Like I always got back on track the next day. Then I decided that I was going to do a bodybuilding competition in the bikini division. And I decided to do this because my husband had started getting into bodybuilding, and I saw all of the girls up there in their super sparkly bikinis and their high heels with their hair done and their makeup done. And I was like, wow, they look fabulous. So I thought, what a fun way to celebrate my weight loss and to see how far I can take this. That would be so much fun. So I decided I would do a bodybuilding competition. I did not have a coach. I prepped myself, and I didn't do it from a super competitive standpoint. I did it more from like a celebratory for fun standpoint. So I prepped for 12 weeks where I would just work out and control my food. And I watched some YouTube videos to see what other people were doing in bodybuilding competitions and how they prepared for it. And I ended up competing. I did a show with my husband, and that was really super, super fun. Like I said, I didn't take it super seriously. I did not have a coach, but I had a great time. I ended up coming in eighth out of 13 competitors, which, didn't have a coach. It was my first time. I did it for fun. That was pretty good, in my opinion. But then what ended up happening is I was really obese, and then I went on this kind of slow weight loss journey. It was real fast at first, and then it kind of slowed down, and then I decided, oh, I'll do this bodybuilding competition and get ridiculously lean for the stage. And then it was over, and I had this moment of like, well, what now? Because I didn't really want to keep competing. I did it once, it was fun, but it just wasn't my passion. So I was like, what do I do now? What do I do now? I've been tracking my food like crazy for the competition. And so I had to decide, what is it that I want for my health? What is being healthy to me? And I decided being healthy to me is being able to eat what I want without feeling restricted, but still making health conscious choices. Health to me was working out not because I had to, but because I wanted to, and allowing myself to change up that exercise. If I don't feel like weightlifting that day, but I do feel like hiking, then that's what I'll do. If I don't feel like hiking and I feel like swimming, then that's what I will do. I will move my body in ways that feel good to me. So then after that, after the show, because I stopped tracking my food and I ate very intuitively, I did gain a healthy amount of weight back. I went from 118 to 135, and that is where I have stayed for years. So a lot of people ask me, how do you lose the weight and then not gain it back? How do you lose the weight and keep it off and stay at that 135-pound weight for years and years without having like a rebound gain and then having to lose it again? Or what do you do? And my answer to that is, it becomes a lifestyle change. Now, like I said in the beginning, I personally needed a diet. I needed a diet that did restrict me, so that way I could kind of stay in my lane, not stray out of it, and get the progress I was looking for before I was able to kind of loosen up on things. So my diet in the beginning was a very clean version of keto. Now, if I had to put a name on the way I eat, I would say it is a low carb Mediterranean diet. I eat very clean food. I don't eat any processed food. I don't eat sugar. I eat as much as I want and whenever I want, but I definitely keep the Mediterranean principles in all of my meals. So I have a lot of olive oil. I eat a lot of vegetables. I eat some fruits. The meat I consume, I'm very picky about. I like high quality meats. I don't eat a ton of meat, but I definitely don't restrict it. It's just kind of what ends up happening. I do not intermittent fast. I know that that works wonders for a lot of people, and that's great if it works for you, but it doesn't work for me. And the lifestyle portion of this is about finding what works for you. So my husband, he can intermittent fast and it's fine. For me, I intermittent fast and I get hangry. My brain gets hazy. I don't like it. I'm just, no, not for me. So I don't force myself to do it. I do what works for me. So now a typical day of eating could look something like this. I will wake up in the morning and make my coffee. I have a whole morning routine that I do before I ever even eat food. So I will make my coffee and then I will do my journaling. I will check my social media. I'll get dressed for the day. I'll do my hair. I'll do my makeup, and I will get my kids ready to school. Once everybody's off to school, then I will make my breakfast. And that is only because that's just when I'm hungry. When I first wake up in the morning, I'm not starving. So I'm good with just my coffee. Then I'll have my breakfast, which could be something like some eggs, good quality eggs. There is definitely a difference in cheap eggs versus good eggs. So I could have maybe a couple of eggs with a few slices of cucumber, and I will put like goat cheese on top of the cucumber, and that is like a typical breakfast for me. Then for lunch, I could have something like a salad with some grilled chicken in it. And then for dinner, I usually do some type of vegetable stir fry with meat mixed in, or I will do fish with like a side of riced cauliflower. And then if I have a sweet tooth, which I'm not going to lie, most of the time I do. I know I said I don't eat sugar, but I have got one of the biggest sweet tooths in the world. And so what I'll do is I will typically make my own whipped cream. So I'll get a good heavy cream, whip that up, and I add a little bit of stevia to make it sweet. And then I'll have it with like a few strawberries or raspberries or blueberries. And that usually kills that sugar craving. I feel satisfied. It's perfect. I'm good to go. Or sometimes I'll have some dark chocolate, and that will also do the trick. Another question I get asked a lot is, did I have surgery to help me lose weight? The answer is no, but I did have surgery. So I did not have surgery to help me lose weight. I lost that first 80 pounds, and then I had so much extra skin. I have extra skin on my arms, I have extra skin on my legs, and I used to have extra skin on my stomach, but I did get that surgically removed. So I did not do lipo. I didn't do like anything extra. It was just an excess skin removal, and I only got it done on my stomach. My arms and legs weren't too bad, so I wasn't super self-conscious about it, but my stomach is where the majority of my weight was. And so when I lost all that weight, that's where the majority of my excess skin was. So I did get that surgically removed. I had about 6 pounds of extra skin that they cut off. And that was a crazy journey itself. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know that I'll ever get like plastic surgery again. One, I'm a huge baby, so the healing process was not easy for me. But two, like, so they take your skin and they like pull it down, and then they like cut it and sew you up, and because of that, they have to make you a new belly button. And when I woke up, you're like covered in bandages. And so when you take the bandages off, like the next day, the doctor tells you, you know, you're going to be very swollen. So that's to be expected. You look like you're chubby again, but you're very swollen. You'll have some bruising, but also my belly button was crooked. It was like off to the side, and I freaked out. So after it healed a little bit, I actually had to go back to the doctor and have him like, I don't know, cut something and like move my belly button back to the middle. And now it's like almost perfect. But yeah, that was just like a little funny story I tell about how like I freaked out because it's like I woke up and my belly button wasn't where it was supposed to be. But I definitely do not regret having the surgery. It did wonders for my self-esteem. I already felt really good about myself losing that weight and being healthy, but I wanted to have more confidence when I wore swimsuits. And I don't know, there was just something about the loose skin there that I just really didn't like. And so I decided to get it removed, and it boosted my confidence like a whole bunch. Then, of course, I went on to lose another 26 pounds and then gain some of that back. But because that was such a small number compared to the weight I lost before, it didn't give me any more loose skin. Like everything has been fine since that. So I did have skin removal surgery, but I did not have any kind of like weight loss surgery. Just like I said before, during that weight loss journey, I would allow myself to indulge in social events. I would allow myself to have a cheat meal every now and then. And I still do the same today. So 90% of the time, I eat very, very clean. But on special occasions, I will allow myself to have a cheat meal, or if we're at a nice restaurant, usually I still try to pick the healthiest options. Like I'll get a nice steak with some vegetables on the side. But let's say this restaurant is known for like a fabulous dessert. I'm not going to not have the dessert. It's not an everyday thing. It's not even an every week thing, but every once in a while, I will definitely indulge. Or if I'm at some kind of like a Christmas festival and they have a hot chocolate stand, I'll have the hot chocolate. Like I live my life. I allow myself to be human and enjoy the tasty treats. It's just not a norm for me. My norm is the healthy, clean eating, which I really, really enjoy. I used to think that I hated vegetables. I actually really like vegetables. And I think the reason I thought that I hated them is because I didn't really know how to cook them. So I learned how to properly season my vegetables and properly cook them. The interesting thing about eating healthy and kind of going on this health journey and finding the things that work for you is you start to figure out what foods you really like and what meals you really like. And not only do they taste good, they make you feel really good. So a lot of times what happens is then you'll go back like on a cheat day or something and you'll have like a sweet treat or like a fast food burger that you used to think you really loved, and then you try it, but because you've been eating clean for so long, now whenever you do have the McDonald's burger, for example, you're like, this isn't as good as I remember it. Like it kind of tastes like plastic, or it tastes like chemicals, or like the flavor just no. And at first it's a little disappointing because you're like, oh, I thought I remember it being so good. But really, it's a good thing because one, you don't miss it anymore. And two, you much prefer the healthier food. So it's like at least you don't miss it anymore. The same thing happened to me with Reese's. That used to be like my favorite candy in the world. It's still okay. But after eating clean for so long and having like dark chocolate with real peanut butter, whenever I do have a Reese's, it's like, nah, it's not that great. Like it's not amazing like how I remember it to be. Same thing with any kind of like fast food or like fast food French fries. They're just not as good as, like homemade sweet potato fries. So your taste starts to change along the journey as well, which makes it easier for you to stick to long term, which is the whole point in creating a lifestyle. So to kind of recap the timeline, my first 60 pounds fell off in the first 6 months. The 6 months following that was the other 20 pounds. And then after that, that's when I did my 12-week prep for my bodybuilding competition, which is where I lost the other 26 pounds. Yeah, 26 pounds. And then from there, it took me about 5 months to slowly put back on the weight to get up to 135 pounds. And that is where I have stayed. I did all of this without the help of a coach. I did all of this just with my own research, moving my body in ways that feel good to me and finding a style of healthy eating, eating real foods that work for me. I hope this video was helpful. I hope that it motivates you. I hope that it inspires you. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave a comment down below. I will definitely have a conversation with you if you would like. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. It's completely free to do, and it really, really helps my channel grow. I hope you have a fabulous rest of the day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.